See him? Well, open your damn eyes in. It's the old-timey country down-home red state update podcast and them. Coming to you from a bunker underneath Jackie's Market in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And here they are, both of them.
Congratulations, Jonathan Shockley.
Travis Harmon.
This is me.
What are you congratulating me for?
Well, it's been 9 long years since we've been doing this in all sorts of different ways. We used to meet up in a little room and do it.
Uh-huh.
And then one of the good things about COVID, we realized, I don't have to be there. He doesn't have to drive over here. I don't have to let him in the apartment.
One of the many good things about COVID.
Yes.
Was we realized, well.
Does the sound quality suffer slightly due to Zoom? Yes, I'm going to admit that. But the benefits are so much greater than that, even though I don't really listen to these.
Folks, if you're tuning in for the first time, usually we're on here playing a couple of characters, Doobie Brushpile and Brishy Carlisle, the brothers from different mothers, we call them, and usually they talk about politics and science. But this week, it's just us, regular people with real mouths, and we're here to talk about all the things that you may have wondered over the past 9 years. You, a new listener, so it falls apart here. But old listeners, maybe they forgot. Maybe this came up on their podcast thing, and they said, "What is this? Who are they?" Well, by the end of this, you'll know who they are. It's us. We have a lot to say, right?
Huh? Yes,
right, Brishy?
Yes, absolutely.
What would Brishy Carlisle say if he were here right now about this?
Right now, I'd say he'd be like, "Dagnabbit, I've had about enough of that."
Back when we did the videos, that's when you throw the cornflakes out the window. But nowadays, we just have to do the sound like the old time clip clop. Somebody get a pair of shoes and just bang them on a board. It sounds like a horse is walking up the driveway, but you can't see the horse. That's the problem. So in the olden days of YouTube, you would see the horse. Now you see a horse, but it's in your mind, and that's just called imagination.
Which I prefer to
Me too.
Any kind of
real live animal.
Yeah.
Does that even sound like with the Zoom? I don't know when I open these cans.
You can hear it.
But doesn't it just sound like a little... I think it sounds like opening a...
No, it sounds... you're enjoying a beverage of some kind.
Yeah, it's just a soda. It's always sodas. Sorry, everybody. I could drink beers, but I would just want to go to sleep. Like a fitful, bloated sleep.
If I were going to start drinking beer again, this is the last thing I would want to do while I was drinking it. But I enjoy doing this sober. That's the point.
You'd have to be.
Is sober like alcohol? Why?
Alcohol sober.
Alcohol sober is what I meant. We're not going to talk about the rest of it, but you won't find any alcohol over here amongst whatever else you may find.
Officer. There's nothing in your apartment that would get you arrested.
In Los Angeles? No, I'm good. I'm okay out here, man. I'm safe.
Sorry,
that's another thing.
Else.
Some people may not know this.
Oh, sure.
I'm in Los Angeles. You're out there a little ways, right?
I'm nearby. I think of it all as Los Angeles. I don't know if this is just being small town country boy. got my feet in LA, but my mind's on Tennessee. But Southern California, pretty much, including San Diego, wine country. I don't even know the names of it all. It's all Los Angeles, right?
Well,
I mean, like from here to Las Vegas.
San Francisco stands out. Las Vegas is over there. San Francisco, everything in between is Los Angeles. I agree with that. Some parts of it, like where you are, takes me longer to drive to.
But it's still Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I drove to Los Angeles the other day, but it took me 4-5 hours.
Where'd you drive from?
Los Angeles.
See? And that's not even because of traffic.
No, I just go real slow. I just don't like to, I just crawl along. And that's just since I was a teenager. That's how my grandmother taught me.
Slow down.
Slows down. I mean, it helps if you want to see what's out there. That's what she used to sing.
Slow down. You go grandmother speed.
Yep. You're going to miss something if you zip by. You're going to miss it all. Then later you'll wonder why. There was a tune, but I don't remember it. It's about getting older and missing out on a lot of scenery.
Speaking of getting older.
This is okay. This is great because this is typical podcast. Two white guys just riffing on things pointlessly for, 15 minutes. And then they talk about bad movies. As opposed to us, two white guys do it in exaggerated accents and talk about 9 years of forgotten sponsors.
Well, not all of them are forgotten. I've looked over a few of these questions, which is thank you for submitting. We want to thank our listeners and friends, listeners, all are the same to us these days.
Yep.
We appreciate it. We got like 12 pages to get through here, but we thought, well, what can we do that doesn't take a whole lot of work from us in order to, celebrate or acknowledge 9 years of doing this? And we thought, well, let's let them do the work, and we'll answer a few questions.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm going to try to be as honest as I can be without being depressing. So do you want to start? Okay, then we're going to start. Folks, everybody, thank you. And first of all, thank you. Thanks
everybody for listening for 9 years.
It's crazy. It's
we're
wild.
Surprised some people actually have listened for 9 years. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us, thank you for that.
Some people have been here for 15 years since October of 2005.
Yeah. Other places. Yeah. Before we started just
some
talking.
People weren't born.
Yeah.
Tony, how do you think that's pronounced? Bays? Tony Bays.
Bays. Tony Bays.
I'm sorry, Tony. I really am. Tony Bays. We're going to go with Bays. Did y'all go see Bon Jovi at the Murfreesboro Amphitheater back in 1991? I was there. Does Murfreesboro have an amphitheater?
They had MTSU, right?
Is that an amphitheater? Oh, I guess it is.
I guess you could call it that. I mean, they had concerts in it. Some of which I have gone to, but Bon Jovi is not one of them.
91 too.
Yeah.
I hope you had a good time.
I saw at the MTSU. Let's just call it the Murfreesboro Amphitheater. That's fine. Which may be what they've called it, but it's it's the camp. It's the
right.
It's on campus. The very first concert I ever went to was there, and that was. I know you didn't ask this, Tony, but I'm going to go ahead and throw this out there. That was Kenny Rogers and Dottie West. Gallagher opened for. It was Gallagher, then Dottie West, then Kenny Rogers, and then of course Dottie West came back out, and it was Kenny Rogers and Dottie West. They did not bring Gallagher back out, but that was my first concert. I think.
Did you go because of Gallagher?
I think I went because my parents had tickets for whatever reasons, and we went. I enjoyed Gallagher a lot. I was at the perfect age perfect Gallagher age. Like things kind of took a turn. Nothing against Donnie West, but I was a child. It's like, oh, okay. You're just going to sing now. They're not going to, tear up vegetables. But that was a good concert. And that was the first concert I went to. The first rock concert I ever went to was Styx. Kilroy was here, which was also at the Murfreesboro Amphitheater.
And then later, kind of bring this up.
Oh, sure. My life came full circle. So, like, this is just all filler right now. I don't even know. But like my first rock concert was that, and then when was that? Late night?
Mid to late 90s.
Mid to late 90s.
7 or 8, probably.
I had the good fortune to be cast in a show written by Dennis DeYoung, who was there. It was the first time putting the show up on its feet at the Tennessee Repertory Theater. It was his version of the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
It wasn't that long after the Disney version.
They were kind of, I think Disney was ready to open up theirs on Broadway. The animated one had been out, but they were kind of pushed. That one took, they'd been around a little before, but anyhow, it's on a CD somewhere, I think.
Are you on the CD?
I am not on the CD. I do not believe. No, but we did it live. But no, he's a nice guy. His wife, Suzanne's a lovely lady, and it was wonderful working with him. So, like I said, life came full circle at that point in time, and now it's just kind of been floundering since. But I enjoyed that cycle, what I remember of it.
So, Tony, I didn't see Bon Jovi either. Sorry we missed you.
You also have never worked with any member of Styx that I know
of. No, but Girls with Guns is my go-to karaoke song.
Good track.
Nathan Hunter says, question. Which deceased Tennessean who has never held executive office would you resurrect to hold the presidency? So there's a lot going on there because it can't be what Tennessean, dead or alive, would you make president if you had the power to choose the president? And it's not just like which dead Tennessean would you resurrect? You have to pick a dead Tennessean that we would bring back to life to become president of the United States of America. And then Braden Lacefield says that's obviously George Jones. So I'm going to take George Jones off of the. We can't choose George Jones.
Travis. Would we choose him if this was like sincere?
No, he was not a good president.
I don't think he would be. I love his voice. He has one of the greatest voices of all time.
One of the greatest. Listen to I feel like there's a crossover if you listen to this podcast and if you listen to Cocaine and the Rhinestones podcast, which is all about George Jones for season 2. Travis, I don't know if you've heard any of it. If you thought maybe George Jones would be a good president, listen to that and you'll know. I don't know why you would have thought that anyway, but people also thought Donald Trump would be a good president. So
yeah, a lot of people did. Still do. Oddly enough,
they think he currently is a great president. Like
yes,
he's doing a great job.
So George Jones off the table, right? That's what we said.
George Jones is off the table.
We would not pick him as much as we adore his melodious voice, which we genuinely do.
Yeah.
Love George Jones' music.
Yeah, he's the greatest. I guess, does he have to have been born in Tennessee? Because that wouldn't be George Jones anyway. So I guess if you lived in Tennessee for the most part, right? Because then you could do Johnny Cash, who's from Arkansas, right?
Arkansas originally. You know who was born in Tennessee, though? Just hear me out here.
Andrew Jackson.
Yes, but politician. Normally I would have gone straight to him, but you know, I can't. I'm not allowed here. Right. No, Centerville, Tennessee is a hint.
I don't know.
This is my pick. Minnie Pearl.
Oh.
Sarah Ophelia Coley Cannon.
Right.
Born in Centerville in 1912. She is dead. Mm-hmm. She is from Tennessee. Yep. And
yeah, I will go with Minnie Pearl. I guess Dolly Parton is an easy answer, but let's go with Minnie Pearl. She's alive.
She's very much alive. Yes, Minnie Pearl is no longer with us. I think she would make, or her ghost would probably make. I'd be interested to see. I'd give it a shot. It couldn't be any worse than what.
Has anybody ever made a Ebenezer Scrooge? What's that called?
I think it's called the Christmas Carol.
I call it the Scrooge verse.
Scrooge,
but has anybody ever made like a Scrooge verse of the Grand Ole Opry, and you get impersonators like from Branson, or I'm guessing somewhere out near Opry Mills, there are people who like impersonate, and then you could do a little show, a little play, like maybe, I don't know, Roy Acuff,
Little Jimmy Dickens.
Yeah, and they're all, so one of them is Scrooge and doesn't believe in Christmas anymore. And then he gets visited by Minnie Pearl, Little Jimmy Dickens, and it's not that good.
I don't want to go into this and make fun of this because I probably have friends back in Tennessee who are performing in just what you described right now.
I mean, I said it kind of as a joke, but it entered my head as something that would be cool. I was just imagining a ghostly Minnie Pearl come walking through a wall going, "Howdy, I'm just proud to be here. Be gone, spirit." Oh, that's how you do it. Ebenezer Scrooge is just him.
Yeah.
The Scrooge.
That's what I thought you were doing. And then he no, why would they want to be the dead?
I got in my own way.
The dead people should be the dead people in the show.
That's it.
Because you mentioned having an impersonator, which you would need.
Yeah.
No.
And
course. Let Scrooge just be,
just be Scrooge. Yeah. Okay. This is going to take forever.
I know.
Mike Fink. I think he's actually told us how to say his name before. Mike Fink, is the money from the Patreon important enough? This is a good question. Is the money from the Patreon important enough that more money would significantly improve things for either of you? Or is it just to cover your costs?
I'm going to say, other than Richard Pryor and Brewster's Millions, I'm going to say money usually significantly improves, not just for Jonathan and I. I'm going to say in a capitalist society, it usually improves for most anybody, right? More money would, right?
Yeah.
Is the money still important to us? Because it does cover the cost of the the skyrocketing inflated price of putting a podcast out there. Obviously, that's not expensive. We wouldn't have as many of them as we do. But no, the Patreon money covers that. Thank you, our patrons. Thank you so much. You get a little extra spending money occasionally. So that makes your life better, right, Jonathan?
Yeah. I don't even know if people see how much we make. I don't know if it's private or public, but I mean, and I don't mind telling people. I mean, I think we should probably be more honest with salary information and stuff like that. I think they can see, I'm looking at it now. I think they can see that we have 90 patrons. So that stayed pretty solid. I mean, people come and go.
And some people are kind enough to 1 month pay us more, and then the next month not as much, which is perfectly the fact that they would give us anything.
So that's totally great. We make about 400. I mean, I would say on average, because I think there's a fee from Patreon, and then we have to pay some stuff. So we get a little bit that is actually really helpful from you guys. I know we don't really pursue it. Like, how can we make more money? I don't know, because it also seems really consistent with the number of listeners we have, which seems to be per month around on just the podcast seems to be about 800 people, and then another 200 or 300 listens on YouTube. And that also seems consistent. That's actually it seems to maybe be up like 100 people lately, so maybe like 800 or 900 people.
So we hover around 1,000 listeners, I think. Yeah,
maybe. On a good month, we're doing. But that's also has been the case forever. Like, I mean, it's pretty consistent. I think
it has been, yes. The people
I think it's grown slowly, but it's not. I wouldn't say, I don't know if I would say it's growing. And it's growing very slowly. Sometimes I've thought about like we could have, like we go to these podcast conventions and we could host panels called Treading Water. Like Treading Water, how to keep your podcast as is for. But like, I mean, but that's due to you guys. I mean, y'all have made us not bleed listeners.
Absolutely.
And it's because of y'all that so we really appreciate that. And that's also, I'm not even saying, I don't know if this sounds bad or not, or if sounds like I'm complaining. I'm actually like grateful that like it's stayed, that we can rely on a certain amount of people per month. I mean, I don't know if there's something we could do to get more listeners. I don't know. Do we want? I don't know how many more listeners we want.
I'm good with these guys, you know.
Yeah. What if we got new listeners and they were a bunch of assholes?
Yeah. Who wants that?
So
nothing against our asshole listeners that we have now, though. I didn't mean it that way.
No. I meant new assholes.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
But yeah, so that's where we're at. I think you can kind of tell that. I don't know if that number is, and actually, that's not even a terrible number. I think if you listen to like the Libsyn podcast, people, they say like, well, let's just exclude the YouTube numbers and just say it's like 800 in the first month. A average podcast might wind up around 800 listeners, and I think that's maybe in the top 30%, 25%. I don't even know, but we'd have to double to like our listener, which would only be like 50, 1,600 listeners to like make it up to like top, I don't know, 20% or something like that. I don't know. We're around there, 20, top 30, 20%, or maybe a little better. I don't know. It varies from month to month. So it's not like we're complaining. Like a lot of people don't have anywhere near the amount of listeners we have. So
not complaining at all. No, I'm amazed that anyone listens to us, and we're more than grateful that you keep coming back to hear us, some more of us. So, there's nothing to complain about.
Yeah, so that's kind of. So, would more money help us? Sure.
Now I think maybe this is what they're asking too. Could be, would more money improve the quality of the podcast? Yes, so that's what I don't know if I can answer that right now. I guess we're just going to have to make that money to find out, huh, Jonathan?
Sure, I got you. Would you do this as like a full? If this were, I don't know. I mean, there have been times where this could be a full-time job, and then. But, I don't even know if that's the case anymore. Plus, like you're making a set, like thousands upon thousands of people are listening to you guys talk about what should happen in America today. I don't even know if I want that to take up that space. But thousands and thousands of people are listening to you talk about, the skeleton drop. Then, I would take that. That I would take.
The sponsor stuff, yes, we enjoy, but
100%.
Yes.
So, Craig Core says, next time you fellas are in town, do you want to go fishing?
We're not big fishers, but thank you very much for the invite, Craig. I know Craig. Yes. Hey, Craig.
Really? Yeah. What's up, Craig? Sam Buckaloo says, which one of you is responsible for Meg Ryan's divorce? Listen, Sam, it's 2021. Meg Ryan's responsible for her own divorce. I'm not taking anything away from Meg Ryan.
Which one of her, how many divorces has she? I really don't know. And I'm not trying to be a smartass. I have no idea.
I don't know. I did like her with Dennis Quaid. Is he a terrible person?
Let's not speculate.
What is the Dunlap origin story? Is it true Dunlap has a script finished for a full-length Jackie and Dunlap film in 2022? This is from Johnny Fisher. I don't know. I would like to read a script written by Dunlap for a full-length Jackie and Dunlap film. It'd be better than what you and I would write.
Yeah, I think you probably.
Now we're doing that third person talking about characters if they're a live person.
But hey, 9 years we're permitted to do a little bit of that.
What's the Dunlap origin story? I wonder, Johnny, if you mean how did we come up with Dunlap, or if you mean like how did he become Dunlap? Like what's his Batman's parents going to see Zorro, Pearls dropping into the alley? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either one of those answers. I guess I think origin story is like his daddy's sorry, and he got dropped off at Jackie's store and probably just absorbed a lot of sorry people drinking and eating barbecue. And also nurture nature. I don't know. I think he was probably already a little sorry himself when he showed up there. But I don't know if we've identified like something Jackie said that made Dunlap, like the flashbacks on You, the Netflix series You that Laura Ingraham had such fun with the title the other day. So I don't know. No, I don't know. How did we come up with these? That this is what we were going to do.
I mean, they were kind of like you were. Well, there's always the Southern stereotypes, and then it was just I always think they were always kind of a combination of a lot of stuff that we were either around or heard about, and he was just the dumb, He was a guy that wanted to stay drunk. Well, I guess Jackie wanted to stay drunk most of the time in the early ones as well. So, yeah. But again, I saw people of Jackie's age, and I think some people asked this later, so I'll save it for later. But people, Jackie's age who did, they certainly drank all day, or half of the day, at a place that was kind of the inspiration, at least for for his market. But yeah, as far as who the characters were themselves, I think they're a bunch of different things.
Yeah. And they've changed over the years too.
They have. If you look at the early ones we did, you're a little more consistent than me. It took me a while to find the voice changes, everything does. I don't recommend going back and looking at it. I wish I hadn't said that, but no, it took a while to kind of get settled into what we all know is talking to third person as Jackie. Yes.
Braden Lacefield says, what does Jackie think of Jerry Lawler?
I know that some of these people may have misunderstood and wanted to ask the character. So I apologize, people who just wanted to hear the characters answer these questions. If that's the case, may not be. But I would think Jackie would think he was the, greatest wrestler of all time, right?
Probably.
He's a king. King Jerry. I would think that would be probably the era of wrestling that Jackie probably most got into. It certainly was for me in my lifetime. But yeah, he'd have been a little older than me. But yeah, he was the king.
Lee Harris, he's got, I think I've talked about this podcast on here. There's, he had some music out. The podcast is Bizarre Albums, and he does a lot of wrestling albums. He did one on Jimmy Hart, and I think the connection, you just go listen to it, actually, because I'm going to mess it up. But I think because Jimmy Hart was a musician.
He wrote a song. Didn't he have like a hit?
He was the group. I'm going to blank on everything.
Well, this is hard to retain.
So I think like they wanted to make some music, an album or at least a single for Jerry Lawler. And they somehow they reached out to Jimmy Hart. I think that's sort of his origin story, but I may be really messing that up. And I know that there's real big wrestling fans who listen, so I'm sure you can correct us. But also listen to Bizarre Albums, because there's a lot of crossover with a lot of the stuff we talk about on here. There's a lot of weird country music, a lot of weird wrestling, and a lot of weird like cartoon. You know, like if there was it really goes with the Patreon with the 20 extra minutes. Lee Harris says, "Have you ever met a mean baby?" Is that a reference?
It is, and I don't know what to though. I think it is either a person. I know Lee, so I don't. Yeah, but I think it's a red. Is it a red? Did Jackie say something about a mean baby? That's a mean baby. Was it Ted Cruz? No, because he actually does have children. It was something. I remember this, and this is going to be half of what this is. That thing that we said when such and such. No, but there was something that there was a child that we said we're going to make fun of that. But it's awful. Probably nothing we would do today. But it was if somebody had a child, if two particular people, and I think we said no, we're making. I'm sorry, but we knew it was wrong. This is, of course, us in character. But we were going to make fun of that baby. So, but I can't remember what that was for the life of me. It is probably not even a reference to that either. So, I don't know. I've met, not mean, but just, indifferent babies.
Braden Lacefield says, "How did you meet Mr. Slaw? How did he hold up during the lockdown?" We should have done a whole pandemic, Mr. Slaw.
I know.
I'm kind of surprised that we didn't. I like to think that he did well. Lee Harris says, "I'm also worried about Mr. Slaw." I know that some other people later on also ask about Mr. Slaw. Until we hear from him, I don't know that we need to assume that he hasn't done well. I mean, a lot of people have used this time, despite the horrors, to get in touch with their own selves and sort of, learn about what's going on in their own heads.
I don't know if I would say he's doing well. I would say he's doing the same, probably. The same, maybe?
He was probably expecting something like this all along.
Yeah.
Drew Perkins, have y'all ever considered going Hollywood, close the shop, sell the house, buy a ticket to the West Coast, and give them a stand-up routine in LA?
I think we did, didn't we?
We didn't own a shop.
We did. We never did own it. No, yeah, we didn't have a. We didn't have a shop close.
If I'd sold a house, I'd be like, "You fucking idiot."
We did all that stuff you mentioned. I think we did all that before we even tried to do Red State Update, before we came up with that. So I don't know how those two go together, but
we talk a lot about Billy Joel on here, though. I do feel like over the years, going back to YouTube, he comes up a lot.
That's the one Jackie likes because of the, if I remember this correctly, here's something, the Billy Innocent Man cassette tape got stuck in a tape player, and that was all he could listen to for a while, and it grew on him. I think he liked that era Billy Joel, if I remember.
It's a good era.
Yeah.
Dan Kunkel says, "What are your favorite sponsors so far?" The ones I can remember. Do we have? I don't know if I have a favorite sponsor. If I were looking at a spreadsheet of everybody, it might be hard to say.
It's hard. Yeah. I remember laughing a lot at snake bells. I think someone has been bringing that up recently. That always makes me laugh, that which was an alarm system that I think repeatedly woke Jackie up at night, right?
Oh, that's right.
The snakes. And that went on, and it morphed as they all do, morphed into something else that I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I remember we kept doing, when it's something that's really stupid, which is all of them, but like something in particular that's really stupid, you think, well, we'll just do, that's not coming back. And then you end up doing it for a month, which that's probably more than half of them as well. Those always make me laugh. I mean, yeah.
I definitely wouldn't say this is my favorite, but like an example of that is the dumb one we did with the cat food. Like that doesn't even make. I don't even know why that lasted so long, but it was. I really thought that would be one and done, and then I don't know how we kept bringing that back.
And there were fox face cats. That's one I remember that didn't make any sense. It went on for a while. There's a breed of cats that look like fox. Yeah, which is not really funny, just saying it like that. But for some reason, repeating it every week, I guess, made it funny to me anyway. Hopefully, some of you as well.
What was that? I don't even remember what that was.
Fox face cats. There was somebody that had. There were several, I believe. Dr. Moreau kind of creatures, right? Throughout there are all sorts of monsters and creatures.
Yeah,
but I mean, they were animals that were scientifically altered. I think a lot of the time, fox-faced cats. I don't know if that was the case with that particular, because it was a pet, but there was something else that, or maybe it was. I don't know. It's 9 years of this. I mean, the big one, like a hurt bird still, which went to Ghost Bird, like that first arc, I kind of remember that more than everything we've done since. Which has been a lot.
When is the next Redneck Matinee? Dan Kunkel wants to also know.
What was that question about money earlier, Jonathan?
We have actually thought about just so we could at least get through the next batch of Redneck Matinees that we wanted to do since we talked about it.
There is we have one. I mean, we've said this on here. I mean, one half done.
Oh yeah, that's my fault. And people have even didn't we play it on? Did we play it on? Patreon? Did we put it up as a 20 extra minutes?
No. There was one that we did that we scrapped because we were tired of just talking through the movie. No. I think we put that one up on Patreon, and then the one that we have recorded, is still. I mean, or half of it done. Mm-hmm. No one has heard that to my knowledge. But there was one that we did that was like, oh, that's good enough, but I'm tired of doing it this way. We put that one, we gave that one to Patreon. And then, there's one set aside still that needs work.
But it's still talking about the movie. It's Smoking the Bandit 2.
Yeah, that's the one.
We watched Smoking the Bandit 2, but we just recorded talking about the movie again, right?
Yes, we did. We haven't gone into, I think the big, because we wanted to do it right. And it isn't all your fault because I can obviously... Get on the computer and look at
I know what I literally have. I think I've even taken a picture of it. I have a folder. I print stuff out.
It's elephant. It's the elephant.
It's the elephant, but the elephant goes to the. Okay, this is why people lose their minds, and they have a wall full of string, like a beautiful mind, like we said on the podcast recently. But the elephant goes to. Like circus, I was going through the want ads of like a circus newsletter you could find online. Like the research you just go down like 8 rabbit holes and you want to talk about it all. But really you're just supposed to talk about Smokey and the Bandit 2. And nobody really wants to hear. I know that's what they do with podcasts now. They make a 9-episode series about Smokey and the Bandit 2. And one is about one ads for clowns, and one is about buying and selling of elephants, and one is calling up the zoo, and one is talking to PETA and pro-zoo versus anti-zoo people, and one is about Sally Field's autobiography, and you have 9 episodes of Smokey and the Bandit 2 because you're just trying to sell advertising for 9 episodes. Whereas I want to cram everything into 1 episode. I'm like, well, I've got to read several of these 1 ads. I wish I had it right here because I do it right now. Because it's good. So we're going to get that done pretty quick. We did talk about like doing a month or 2 where we didn't do the regular podcast. Instead of doing
podcast. Instead of doing the politics, which we, that may be happening.
I have a giant folder. It's a giant folder. I've carried it. I don't know if I started this like 2 apartments ago. How can I come to a live recording? I'm not sure. I would do a live recording because we have all these people who are asking us, about heartburn and stuff. That would be a lot of fun. I don't know that we really need to talk about Mark Meadows at a live recording, but
no.
There would be a lot of fun stuff we could do live. I wish we could fly everybody, these 800 people, to like one place and we just have a fun weekend.
Maybe that's a fundraiser down the road. What is the thing? What is the Insane Clown Posse? What is that called that they do?
Oh yeah.
Like one of those with less music.
Or more music. But not Insane Clown Posse.
No.
Do you sell any shirts or things?
I think the only time we didn't really. It was the Dual Tone Records did at one time, and then we had shirts made for our Kickstarter. That's what it took me a minute. GoFundMe, go Kickstarter. But no, and we've talked about this, and this may be something, again, going back to like, if make stuff that we can pay for.
I would like to figure it out. It seems like when people talk about merch and stuff, it's something more just to have that's fun. And I don't think it's anything that we're going to make money off of. But if we didn't lose money and we just took the time to figure it out, it would be cool for there to be a shirt or 2 or a hat or 2 or something. And I think there's ways now that you can, it's easier to do it, and you're not going to like be out a bunch of money. But I read a lot about Patreon. Sounds like Patreon folks or people trying to, who are fan funded don't make a lot of money off merch, but that's fine. It'd just be cool if y'all could have some hats.
There was one time we talked about logos for some of these sponsors that we were talking about earlier, making shirts or magnets or something of the like for some of the sponsors.
We could have people, we could vote on what. It just caused a bunch of hard feelings though, because people would be like, I'm not paying for a little Sissy Rinse Guard shirt. I voted for
hose water.
The Bandit was the legend. This is also from Dan Kunkel. The Bandit was a legendary truck driver. What do you think would happen if he was driving during a maximum overdrive type occurrence? I think we're going to find out. Not the Bandit. The Bandit is not real, not a real person. But we do have robot trucks now, and an Elon Musk. And I just assume that at some point, machines are going to take over the world. His machines. And then...
Well, his machines may have a thing or two to say to him at some point, if you know what I mean.
Oh, that would be good if they were good machines.
But what bad in that they just don't like humanity in general. Like not just him, all of us. Enough of you.
But if his rocket is still obeys his orders and flies him to Mars, and he could get away and leave us down here with all the robots. I did want to do, didn't we talked about doing a Jackie versus robot trucks thing at one point. Maybe that was all in my head. There's a folder
that seems like I mean, it's been 9 years. I'm sure we probably discussed that at least twice.
My question from Greg Trimner is, do you guys have it in you for 9 more? Thanks to both of you for all the entertainment you've provided to me and the world. You've helped me through some tough times with your humor. Oh, thanks. 9 is a long time.
9 is a lot. How many times have we actually tried to quit doing this? That's something.
No.
Well, the time I knew that we were definitely like done, because we had done the Kickstarter and people were kind enough to help us reach our goals and do all of that, cover the election. And then we just assumed, like a lot of other dumbasses, that Hillary Clinton would probably win. And then we could say goodnight and goodbye and hang up the character. But then that did not happen, obviously. And, I mean, not to make us sound self-important, but this was an outlet for us to scream about the situation that we found our country in, and still in, for that matter. And obviously, some people felt better by listening to us complain, maybe help them. I don't know. But we felt it was our civic duty to continue doing these while Trump was in office. Don't know if that's truly the case, but not lately. If things are just so awful, it's like, what are we going to talk about today? What is, Jesus. But I mean, I do my best to keep up with the news, but not a whole lot of great news. You want to quit now, maybe, Jonathan? after I said that, let's just hang it up now.
Dwayne Wildrick says, I miss the video shorts of yesteryear. Classics like Independence Day Transformers, who got my goat with me, or the ever popular Space Dunlap, which I don't remember Space Dunlap.
I don't know if I remember Space Dunlap. The other two, I'm glad to know that those are the ones that people refer to and remember, are just the, like, again, I think both of our favorite stuff is the dumb stuff. Jackie playing with toy Transformers, and that is always our favorite too. So it's nice to see when someone else appreciates those. Those are our favorite, and I'm sure there's tons of like political ones that would just make our stomach turn if we go back and looked at those. Did we tell them the idea that we had about doing with some of the videos, which we decided not to do because it would bring attention? We're just talking to these folks here, but like, we were talking about going through, and the really bad ones, so like we would discuss it, and after we talked about it on here or wherever, then we would take the video down. But then we were like, well, that's just going to, if we did that, we're just going to draw attention to stuff that we don't necessarily want people to.
Yeah, it'd be like you go through every video, and then you would talk about, so it'd be half a history podcast where we're talking about, it was weird, I bit my tongue while I was saying that. If it sounded weird when I was saying history, that's what people would normally edit out. Just somebody would go through and they take out every time there's a pause or they bite their tongues. But that seemed inauthentic to me. Like, we grew up with Kurt Cobain, not literally, but we were alive at the same time briefly.
Yeah.
So it would be half a history podcast where, like, in today's Red State Update history, Scooter Libby, we talked about him. Scooter Libby was, and then we'd go through what Scooter Libby did. And then we'd listen to we'd describe what our bit was, and we'd play clips from it. And we'd apologize for the horrible things we said. And then we'd delete the clip at the end. But that doesn't make any sense, because then you're just playing the clip for people. Yeah. Like, that's the part that doesn't really make sense.
The thing that's like we thought, again, this is 15, 16 years now we're talking, not 9, the videos. Like, the stuff that we thought was outrageous that we were saying is mild in comparison to what is really happening now. Like, we were trying to, be ridiculously over conservative, and it's just, that's doesn't even make sense anymore. That any of that's an attempt to be a joke. It's not. It's just like, oh, that's just what that's just hateful. Period. You thought at one time it was so outrageous and over the top that there's only one way that people could perceive it. Like, no, that's not the case. And then, which makes we make jokes about this a lot. Which is we're not this self-important other than to anybody else other than to ourselves. But like, oh, we helped create this environment where all this terrible stuff happened. Barely, just the tiniest. Barely, but take responsibility for it. That's at least the absolute least you can do.
Bruce Johnson says, no questions, a statement. Jackie Broyles 2024. I'd take it.
Anything. Yeah. Minnie Pearl and bring her ghost and Jackie Broyles. Let's do it.
August Hahn says, 2 questions, good sirs. Did either of you have any idea that the Red State Update podcast would run this long? No.
No, no.
I don't know what we thought would happen.
Every week I'm like, are we still doing this?
Well, okay. I mean, if we go back to 9 years ago, we kind of had stopped doing videos. For the most part, we were looking for something to sort of get us something kooky, new, to get us excited. We'd watched that Steve.
We watched it, Steve. You got me. It was a birthday present, and it was which is, I believe, we'll do a little ad for it on Shout Factory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we get that Shout Factory money.
Yeah, so that Shout Factory of Steve Martin, just basically his television specials and his appearances on. Good stuff. But we watched that.
It didn't have anything to do with this, but it just seemed like he was doing anything he wanted to. And then it's like, oh, why don't we do like a podcast? Because then you don't have to worry about if you're shooting stuff, if you're doing video, it's like you have to, it's harder and you have to get more people to help you. And asking people for help and not giving them any money. And there wasn't a lot of money laying around. And so we thought, well, how do we do anything? And we thought, well, we could do it like a podcast. And I think we thought we were going to do more sketches and more different characters. And it would be just a lot more free form than what it wound up being. But I think pretty quick we got to half news, half sponsors. I don't know how that happened. I don't mind it. I think we thought we were going to do like Firesign Theater or something.
I would like to weed out the news and just do the sponsors at some point. I would be fine with that.
But I think if you'd said you're going to do this for 9 years, no, we wouldn't have thought that.
Nope.
But also, like, I don't know what the exit strategy would be either, other than just like we're tired or sick or one of us like moves to, a place without Zoom.
Or we find something else we want to do.
Yeah, because I do think that hopefully if we come up with something else, like some of y'all will come.
And we work on others. Like there's an idea, which I won't give out here, that, there's hopefully another podcast that in not the very near future, but something else that entirely different from this that we're hoping to do.
Yeah, we talk about a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
A lot of stuff. It's been 8 years since the world lost George Jones. How are you holding up? That's what August Hahn says.
He gave us so much. I'm going to say I'm doing okay. And I'm glad he didn't have to see Trump and witness any of that stuff.
Because he might have liked
it. Yeah,
I don't want to hear about that.
He may have enjoyed it. So, but no, he thank goodness he gave us so much great work, years and years of wonderful music.
And the Cocaine and Rhinestones podcast I'm way behind on. John Holliday says, I've heard, Travis, a lot of folks, hey, everybody. I don't even know if we're talking, but a lot of folks have been sending us questions and been talking to us for years and years. Almost everybody that we've read a question from. So thanks, everybody. John Holliday is one of those folks. I've heard Travis talk about how Jackie was based on a real character who did own a store in Murfreesboro. How did y'all decide to base a character on him? Did Jonathan used to steal beer from his cooler during his days at MTSU?
Jonathan, I don't believe you did. Did you?
I did. I did. I didn't go to that store until I met you. I definitely didn't go there.
This was a place I had a friend that worked there that would, if I was low on cash that week, would front me some till my next paycheck, wherever I may have been getting that from, and God knows when, and would allow me to drink beer with other folks in. It was Goff's Market was the name of it, and the owner was Jackie Goff. Now, there's certainly the environment is based on that, without a doubt. But I think Jackie, the character, even though he was an older gentleman, an older Southern gentleman who had a barbecue joint, is not entirely. Well, first off, the actual Jackie Goff would never say "watch your language." You're going to hear that's completely different from the two of them. He let it, he just talked the way he talked, and it wasn't any worse than anybody else there. But if the real if the fake Jackie heard the real Jackie talk, he would constantly be telling him to watch.
Did we purposely flip that? Did you
I don't
say
know.
Because Jackie?
I think that was, but no, I think it was. We may have, but I really think it was just because we knew. I mean, there's a lot of my mother in Jackie, probably more than most. There's some other folks too, but there's a lot of her in there that who may not know everything about everything, but knows how she feels, and this is this and that's that, and you're not telling me any different. Like that comes from her, and also there's many times that she told me to watch my language, but but it's not just her. There was always that watch your mouth. What that was something. Especially if you cussed a lot, that you heard a great deal. So I think that was just a character trait that we wanted, and it fit on him, obviously, and didn't work with Dunlap. So I think that's how I remember it.
Yeah.
But the place, Goff's Market, that was Jackie's Market. It was a different guy ran it, but it was that scene where you sat there, and some people, I won't mention names, did help themselves to the cooler. Not you, Jonathan, but when no one is looking, you go back there. So you saw this happening, you saw this taking place, and it all fit into whatever it was we were trying to do at the time, or still trying to do, for that matter.
Heather Murray says, okay, I just want to know if the square, the old square, not the old square, is still open for carriage rides anymore. I mean, COVID and all, yes, but open air rides should be mostly okay. I'm going to say yes.
Definitely.
I think this Murfreesboro that we talk about, man, every time I say anything like that, it sounds so terrible. Our Murfreesboro is, I think that they might take COVID stuff a little more seriously than. Not that I don't think Murfreesboro is terrible compared to other places in Tennessee, COVID wise, but I think our Murfreesboro is maybe a little more masky than actual Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
So, but I do think it's still pretty much open, even though we did have they were throwing it was pretty terrible with there were the suit of armor guys. What was that? Like there's plenty of stuff.
That was, let's say we can't even barely remember that. We just did that.
Did that.
I know, not long ago.
I will say this is
Sir Mask-a-Lot. If you got mad about someone wearing a mask, you didn't take it out on them. You went over and threw something, and you took your aggression out on Sir Mask-a-Lot.
So I'm going to say, I think you could probably go there and do a ride around the square. I wish I feel bad about this. This is an answer to a question. It's just a confession, something I want to get off my chest. I feel bad that I cannot remember these sponsors, and they leave my head almost immediately, and I forget the relationships, and I forget how they're interconnected. And I know we spend a lot of time, but like every week I don't listen to. I usually don't listen to the news. I will say, Travis, if I go back and listen to last week's episode, I'm always impressed by something that you said, and also that should make me feel terrible because listening is like an important part of. Would you call this improvising? But I guess I just miss a lot. So, but yes, so always if I do go back, I listen. Oh yeah, that was funny when he said that. Why didn't I react? So, and then I have to listen to the sponsors so that I can remember what the fuck we talked about 1 week ago. And that was just a week ago.
You have to tell me because otherwise,
and then I have to.
You explain it to me because I'm like, what was it? Because I ain't listening. No, I listen occasionally. I will listen as well.
So I feel bad. I do feel bad because, I mean, I don't want it to be like y'all take it more seriously than we do. Because we do. I just can't remember. I should have a spreadsheet. I should take everything that Guy Lancaster wrote years ago, and we should be reviewing it every week. We should be training Travis. Billy Carter says, I'm hoping for the Christmas grape this year. Billy, I hope you get it.
Same here, Billy. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Al Moore says, hi, boys. Love the show. Thank you, Al.
Al's been a listener for some time, if I remember correctly, and been a great supporter. So thank you, Al. We appreciate you.
I know Jim Beavers, Bane Jekyll. See, Al Moore knows all this stuff.
All these, yeah.
I know Jim Beavers, Bane Jekyll, Crud, and a shit ton of Jackie Broyles cosplayers have passed on to Goat Heaven. But I'm wondering about some of the other locals. Pharmacist Reynolds, Peach Cobbler Guy, Green Bean. Sissy Rinsgard doesn't count. And I got to say, when I mentioned Sissy Rinsgard earlier, it's because I'd seen Al's question. And that's how I remember. Pharmacist Reynolds, who was that? Was that the 3 Sticks of Candy guy?
I think it was the 3 Sticks of Candy guy. I think that because there was a jingle, which I can't remember.
Peach Cobbler guy,
Candy.
Green
Peach
Bean.
Cobbler guy would cuss you. He was the most. Yeah. He was the worst human being. But there was something worse than that. I can't remember.
Is this just going to be a thing where we tell everybody ideas we've had that we haven't done yet? I think we've actually talked about this before. I would like to cut the sponsors into a separate podcast where we have
go back from the beginning and
the sponsors all sponsors podcast, because it would help me and maybe it would help you, and we would cut them together and it'd be the sponsors all sponsors, and we'd have I don't know how many, an hour or 2 hours worth of sponsors, and we just go through. We cut out all the news, which you can't really do because it always sneaks back in, but you could make it kind of the saga of these Jesus Christ, the Murfreesboro sponsors show. We would like to do that, but in a way that also seems kind of like taking a lot of time to do something that's going backwards. But I'm also proud of it, I guess, as proud as I can.
That stuff, no. Yeah, the sponsor stuff is what we, yeah.
I can't say the word proud. But I do like most of that stuff. I think even some of that stuff is iffy. We would probably do it differently if we were doing it today.
Yeah.
Some of it. But most of it I think is okay. So I would like for that to be more easily accessible. If somebody just wanted to go back and listen to all of that. Yeah.
Jonathan, I don't know if you remember that. Do you remember, I believe Mr. Al Moore sent us a big box of candy once. Do you remember that?
Oh.
This is years ago. I believe we ate it
on the
show until another listener complained that they this was a sincere note that someone wrote. Is like, you guys are great. I listen to everybody, so I love you. But when you eat on the microphone, it just, which he was absolutely right to tell us. I can't listen to that. No one wants to hear us eat up close. And he was right. And I think we've refrained from doing that since.
Well, thanks for the candy, Al. I don't know how to answer your question about who all's dead or alive, since I can't really remember a lot of these people, period. But I would like to give you
Jim Beavers is dead. Right?
He says that. Jim Beavers is dead. Bane Jekyll is dead.
Yes, thanks for letting us know, Al.
Crud is dead. The Jackie Broyles cosplayers are dead. That's interesting because there's a lot of doubles on this. I do know that. I know the sponsors, there's lots of doubles and alternates and people who look like. I don't know why that is, but it just seems to come up a lot. I would maybe, you know what? Maybe instead of spending time, researching what happened in the Tennessee Senate this week, or spending 30 minutes before we record talking about what happened. We should spend that time finding what happened to Peach Cobbler guy. A lot of good ideas here.
Get on that, Jonathan.
I'm just saying that we could, instead of like, oh, what happened? We could go into Mediaite. We should be going to Red State Update, right?
Sure.
Kurt Gresh. Oh, wow. Okay. So this is here. I think we're going to get down to it, but we still have, I'd say, hours of questions.
Oh, Jesus.
But Kurt Gresh and Jenny Benevento, also longtime listeners, fans, friends. Personal note from Jenny Benevento and Kurt Gresh. We just want to thank you for all the creativity over the years. We hope you truly appreciate how intensely awesome your stuff is. Thanks. The world you've built is so intricate. You're better at taking compliments than I am. Does that mean? But that may mean I'm more narcissistic than you are.
I'm just sitting here. What do you mean I'm better at taking them? You want me to read it? Is it uncomfortable for you to read? Is that what you're saying?
No. I'm just saying that you're a better person. The world you built is so intricate and detailed, and we truly appreciate it. Thanks, guys, y'all.
Yes, thank you for listening as long as you have, and continue to do so. Thank you.
They have a lot of questions here, but we're going to go through them. Travis, I just listened to, this isn't one of their questions. This is me digressing. I just listened to, there is a podcast. It's a Weird Al Yankovic podcast. Mm-hmm. And they did like 100 episodes. They talked to people who are tangentially related to, like, somebody did the makeup for this video, or somebody who his longtime backup singers, they got around to members of the band. And then finally they got Weird Al Yankovic on there. This was very recent. And they did 4 episodes of a 3-hour interview with Weird Al Yankovic, with these very obscure, it was great. David Ethan's 2000 Inch Weird Al Yankovic podcast. And I'm not comparing ourselves to Weird Al Yankovic. I would never do that. I'm just saying that if we get down in the weeds in these questions, if we're just going down these, maybe there's somebody who likes it. We shouldn't beat ourselves up. We shouldn't feel like this is dumb bullshit. Nobody wants to hear this. We should be like, let us open our veins of obscure knowledge of our 9-year-old podcast and let you lap up.
Well, you want to do another one of these? Veins. What are you saying?
I'm just saying that we have a lot of questions here from Jenny and Kurt, and I'm going to go through them all. And then we have a lot more questions too.
We'll keep going till we can't, and then we'll stop and we'll do some more tomorrow or the next day. Or is that what you're suggesting?
No, I'm just saying, get ready. Your first YouTube video as Jackie and Dunlap is almost 16 years old. I didn't know that they were going to be so brutal. Red State Update Christmas Party, December 22nd, 2005. Interesting note, that was not the first Red State Update video we did. That was, I think, the first one we uploaded to YouTube. But YouTube was new. YouTube had really just, I don't know when YouTube started, but it was Lazy Sunday, the Saturday Night Live Lonely Island video.
That was when everybody, this YouTube thing.
And I think, if my dates are right, between us doing the first Red State update and December 22nd, 2005, Lazy Sunday came out, and then everybody was using YouTube, and it kind of changed everything because we just had a website where we were just uploading like MP4s or something.
I believe so.
I think we did 2 or 3, which please don't watch them. And then we did the Christmas party, which I don't even know. Did we shoot them at the same time, or did we do
what's the first one? It's the sauce. You had the sauce on your face. It was a DUI.
That was the first one. Yeah. Who was that guy? It wasn't Scooter Libby. It was
no, I can't. Some politician got a DUI, believe it or not.
It wasn't. What was his fucking? It wasn't Scooter Libby. This is why.
Know.
Also, if you want to relive the Bush administration, like that was what that other podcast was.
Bush was, he was president at the time.
Can't think of his. I mean, that's why we started doing it, was because in 2004 when he got reelected.
When he was reelected. Yep.
How? Why? And there were blogs, and people were saying all this dumb bullshit, which isn't even as bad as, but it led to this. And probably a lot of it was just bad. But we were like, oh, let's just take what they're saying and put it in the mouths of these people. Anyway. After inhabiting these characters for so long, what's the line? Where's the line between them and Travis and Jonathan? Oh, that's a good question. So now, I guess the line between Jackie and Travis. Now, when you're talking as Jackie, is there much of a line?
I mean, obviously, we're in agreement politically, but it's weird. Like, we hit record, and because we've been doing it so long, it's just like, I mean, this is harder I'm using my brain more now, trying to be myself and answer these questions than I would if we're in character. It's just for no other reason that we've done it forever. It's just like, okay, let's do the thing. But I don't go around. Occasionally something will happen, and which Jonathan has given me more than it's like some people think, well, I do Jackie, he does Dunlap, which is obviously the case when recording. But there's tons of times that I will think of something for Dunlap or vice versa. He will give me a Jackie line that's funny, to put a thought. We haven't really written like that in a while, but occasionally Jackie creeps up when you see something. Oh, he would say that, or that'd be funny, or Jonathan texts me or something. But for the most part, you turn it on when you do this. I don't know what the line. I probably not as conservative as Jackie is.
But is he even? I mean, he certainly doesn't sound conservative if you listen to him.
Not anymore. I mean, Trump changed all that,
So now, do you ever say anything on here other than when we call it out? We're like, oh no, wait, he does like Reagan or something like that.
We don't. No, it's
pretty much just you, right? I mean,
politically speaking, sure, but I mean, it's a different way of saying things, obviously, but I would be much, much harsher, probably, as much as he hates the situation that the country's in. But no, politically, we're pretty much lined up, definitely. But there's still some sort of separation in how I don't know how to. I'm making it sound more complicated than it is. It isn't. You just like, again, you've been doing Jackie forever. You hit record. We'll talk about, because before we do a podcast, we'll make a list. Well, this happened. We have to talk about this. We have to talk about this. And you and I just talk as us for the most part, working out how we feel about it, or how, it's not even like a conscious decision. Well, this is how we're going to talk about it on here. It's just he and I discussing the news, because probably first off, we've avoided it all week, so we have to like catch up before we say something. So as far as that's concerned, I mean, that's pretty much just us, definitely. But, when it's filtered through something that's not completely me.
Because they also ask, I think this all goes together. Yes. What are your actual political opinions? And how have they changed? And How did you decide to make the characters pivot to not being Republican as opposed to being on board with Trump? So I think that all kind of goes together.
It does all go, yeah.
I just still didn't understand. I think I understand it more now, but like I didn't understand how I don't understand how anybody could go, how anybody could be on board with Trump, but I can, I've heard so many explanations now. It makes a little more sense, but back then, like it doesn't, hold on. It doesn't make sense for anybody to be on board with Trump. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like when people explain why they like, those are in my head. But at the time we were like, how could anybody ever like Trump that's from the South? It seems like the opposite of what the South is all about. So that's why we had them, because people are like, why wouldn't you have them just like Trump? That seems like what they would do, but it doesn't seem like what they would do. I can't even imagine that. Like it wasn't.
And even if there was some sort of,
it wasn't a choice. It wasn't. Yeah. How would that work?
And also here, I'm going to sound really third person-y. Excuse me, forgive my big head here, but like, if there was an angle that was funny or we thought would work, because we talked about one time Jackie getting hit on the head or some shit. Mm-hmm. I don't remember, like he would, but
or like,
but I think that was to make him like Hillary. Actually, I think that's how far back that was. But
that may be true. But I mean, we have talked about like alternate Jackies too, just to kind of see how that would be, but it's so gross. I don't even like the idea of.
Well, we like the characters because we played them for so long. Like I said, even if it invited something that we thought was very funny, we like these characters. I don't want to not like Jackie, which I would not like him if he, it would be. I'm not going to say I wouldn't like him. I'm going to say it makes it harder to like him if you supported Trump. I don't know how to come at that. I don't know how to do that because I have relatives that I'm sure support Trump and I still like them, but I'm not talking politics with them. But it just didn't. There was nothing. I didn't see anything funny. There's nothing funny about supporting Trump. I just see, there's too much hatefulness of the race. It's just I can't. Which we certainly went to those places years ago. When they came up in politics, which it certainly did when Obama was running. But, it just, like I said, back then we thought we were saying things that were outrageous, which is mild compared to what people are really saying today. It just didn't lend itself to anything funny to me or you. I'm assuming it didn't to you either, Jonathan.
Well, with Jackie, it just doesn't make sense. And it's probably because we were picking a lot of the stuff we liked about the South. Like, even though he was conservative and, loved George W. Bush and Fred Thompson and everything, I think we were still picking the best parts of somebody like Jackie that we knew. Like, the best parts of being like an old Southern man or an old country man or old rural. Or even like, what is it that this guy who loves George W. Bush, what does he think that George W., even if that's not what is happening, not what the result of electing Bush twice in the world is, like, but what does he think he's doing? And I guess you could do that with Trump. I guess you could say this is what these people think they're standing for, but I mean, it just seems so much worse. And I just didn't, it just, by the time we picked all the good stuff, it's like, here's a, how would you make that like Trump? I don't know. Yeah. I guess Archie Bunker would like Trump, right? That would be funny.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe not.
Probably not.
Yeah.
It really was. Like Archie Bunker's place. Was that funny? Was that supposed to be funny?
Archie Bunker's place?
Yeah.
Or All in the Family. That had its moments.
Yeah, but after that, how long is stuff supposed to be?
Well, he was already, by the time he was Archie Bunker, and this is also most of what for those of you interested in our Patreon, this is what whether in character or not, you'll hear us talk about Archie's place, or I think Quincy comes up a lot as well. But by that point, he was raising a child. All of his, rough edges were gone. He was he was a big softy by that point, Jonathan. Because wasn't he taking, it wasn't Punky Brewster, but I don't remember the young girl's name. Similar to that. He was taking care of had to run a bar, look after her.
Danielle Brisebois.
I didn't mean to compare her to Punky Brewster, but it was, a small child.
Gotcha. How many regular listeners do you have for the main podcast? Are there any clear demo facts about them?
We covered that earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that. Well, I could tell you real fast. I think that most of them are. They're asking how many of them are in Tennessee. How many of them? I think most of them are older. I'm going to tell you right now. Hold on. If you go to...
I just said that we talk about Quincy and Archie Bunker's place. Yes.
They're a little older.
Our listeners are...
most of them are in the United States. Most of them... This doesn't make any sense. They have a huge... okay, so these Libsyn podcast stats are saying that most of our listeners are in Montana right now, which doesn't seem... Oh, boy, what if it's Richard Spencer and Whitefish? Anyway, so not everybody in Tennessee. I think there's a lot in Los Angeles. That's probably just me trying to remember the sponsors. And then Nashville. So definitely a lot of them are in Tennessee, but there's a lot in Texas, Ohio. Yeah, where's it? And I think I would say middle-aged men are the biggest. That is our biggest demographic. Nice middle-aged men, though.
Absolutely.
How many regular listeners do you have for the main podcast? Are there any demo facts? What portion of them are in Tennessee? After 9 years, what keeps you guys going? Please never stop, because I don't know what I would do without you guys. Y'all keep us going. Do you have QAnon friends and family? What do they think of your characters? Same for your friends from Murfreesboro. QAnon friends and family. I know some QAnon-y people. I think the scariest thing about that isn't the people who go full JFK Jr. QAnon, but who just take little bits and pieces. Oh, yeah. Those people are crazy. But a lot of that's true. That's the scary part about that getting mainstreamed.
I don't know about all that JFK stuff, but I tell you what, when they said my bank account's going to fill up with all that money from the taxes when I get back, they don't take taxes. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. I don't know. All that crazy stuff just takes away from what Bill Gates is doing to us, and it just muddies the water so that we can't see. Your sponsors and storylines tend towards the absurdist supernatural, ZH, the McKinney-Sullivan feud, Destruction of Murfreesboro, Numpo Town, the Talking Christmas Gift, and Good Lord, the Announcer of Worlds. What inspires this? What inspires this? That's the end of the question. I don't know. It's a good answer. I mean, I think we always wanted stuff to be weird, right? We wanted to do weird country stuff.
We're always bent towards supernatural and monsters. It seems to go there, ghosts and whatnot. I mean, that just seems to happen. I don't think that's a thought out. It's just.
A lot of this comes from comics. A lot of this, is coming from fantasy movies, like everybody else watching those movies. But we liked all that. We liked a lot of that stuff growing up. I guess I'm more comics than you were, but it's not like you didn't read The Defenders.
Or I had comic books. Yeah. I don't still read them, Jonathan.
But SCTV or one of those shows, SCTV especially got weird, right?
That's a great example of where when as a kid, that was probably one of the biggest as far as humor and stuff, because they sure, they did like Saturday Night Live or wherever, where you had regular celebrities where they, you're impersonating, but then they would combine their own weird made up characters and put them in the world with, they're not just doing, Quincy by himself. He's also got Edith Prickly here, whatever it may be. Yeah. And the insane history of them, they had the opportunity to keep doing something for a few years. And just making the stories and backgrounds of these characters grow. So yeah, that I would say that's a big influence.
Yeah, I think we always kind of like mixing mundane stuff with fantasy worlds. I can't think of examples, but I think that was something we did a lot. I
mean, I grew up watching, John Carpenter movies and I certainly read comic books and stuff. So yeah, different dimensions, all the, that's all in there.
Yeah. A lot of stuff we did at the beginning must have come from like specific things we were reading or watching back then, but I can't remember exactly. What are your actual political opinions and how have they changed? So we talked about how you decide to make the characters pivot to not being Republican. Yeah. What are our actual political opinions? I worry about that. I worry like, am I, what if I say something ill-informed? What if I say something that makes somebody agree with me? And then later it turns out I was a dumb idiot. What if I had never considered somebody else's position? Or what if I was being too conservative about something or was making some joke I've made for 40 years without considering how it might affect other people? Am I in my head sometimes? But it does worry me. Years ago, here's a personal story. Years ago, I worked for some Christian children's entertainment companies. I didn't do very much. But like sometimes they'd like, go write this thing. And I'd be like, what am I just going to affect how children believe in Jesus by whatever dumb thing I make this talking alligator say? And that did worry me. Years ago, I worked on a thing briefly, a show that was a man who owned a restaurant that is mostly located off interstate exits that has chicken and dumplings. The man who owned those restaurants wanted to start an entertainment division. And for about a year, I worked for a production company that was trying to make a TV show funded by these chicken and dumplings. And they wanted to have a man that we've talked about on our podcast a few times, Mr. Fred Thompson, as a guest star on the show. The show would never happen. Nothing would ever happen with any of this stuff. Fred Thompson probably wouldn't have wiped his ass on this chicken and dumpling bullshit. But it worried me. I remember like, we're going to have this guy come on the show and it's going to be like, hey, everybody, hey, how you doing? And people be like, that guy was good to come on that dumpling bumpkin bullshit show. I'm going to vote for him for president in the year 2000, which, I mean, none of that happened, right? So I was probably worried for nothing. But sometimes I guess I worry, maybe I am a narcissist and I think that my reach, I have a greater reach than into the young, malleable minds of America. And none of this ever comes to pass. So all that to say that sometimes I worry that if I don't research, and I get stressed out, we're about to record, I'm like, how do I really feel about all these racists? I have to make sure I let everybody know I think they're really, really fucking racist. And it stresses me out that sometimes. And sometimes people call us out on things and will write to us and say, hey, I don't think you thought this through enough, and I appreciate that. So please, if you're ever like, I don't know if they know what they're fucking talking about, please write us and let us know, especially y'all, our longtime listeners, because it has changed my opinion on things. Or not, at least made me think a lot more about what I say. Yeah, I think all this sounds like I'm trying to be like a nice, thoughtful guy, but now that I say it all out loud, it sounds kind of narcissistic. Travis, you think I'm a narcissist?
It can be a little bit of both, don't you think?
Yeah, you're right.
You can be a nice narcissist.
That's true.
A considerate narcissist. There's nothing. I mean, that's better than just a narcissist, isn't it?
I mean, if Tom Cruise pulled you out of a burning vehicle, you wouldn't say, "Oh, he's not a narcissist because he saved my life." You'd say that narcissist pulled me out of a car.
Yeah,
that was on fire. Thank you.
Thank you
also, he belongs to a crazy cult.
Yeah, well, that's true.
What were we talking about? Oh, actual political opinions and how have they changed? Do you think your political opinions have changed at all since we've been doing this? Do you feel like you're? I mean also, I'm old, and sometimes I read Twitter.
That's the
from
main
young
thing.
people, and I'm like, oh,
we're not.
They think I'm. Oh, maybe I am bad.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm 52, and like when I'm like, I am not with it. And I'm certainly not rah, let's go Joe Biden. Granted, Joe Biden on his absolute worst day, pick one, is still, as far as I'm concerned, a million times better than what we had to go through. But no, I feel out of.
That's it right there.
That's it. That's it. It's summed up.
Also, that would be that gets you drug on Twitter.
Of course it will. And it should. I'm not saying it shouldn't. I'm just saying, that's my personal take on it. But of course, it's more. There's more to it than that. But no, I feel old often. Like I don't understand this. Yeah. And I want to. Don't get me wrong. It's not like fuck these kids. No. I want to.
No, a lot of podcasts start, and we have to edit it out. But it's just Travis go fuck these kids.
No,
fuck Bernie Sanders.
No,
fuck AOC.
No.
He sent me that anime before it even. It was his face on it at first.
He ripped me off, man.
This is going too far. and we had to talk about it, and then you convinced me that it was fine, but we were both wrong.
Turns out we
were both wrong. That's funny because neither one of us have the technical skills to pull anything like that off.
No.
We'd be making cartoons if we could do that. Jonathan's been known, that's me, have been known to unleash a convincing imitation. These are still from Jenny and Kurt. A convincing imitation of a Baptist minister. Jonathan, how much time did you and Travis spend in the church when you were young? Also, naked church is still a great idea. Thanks. I think so too. I think I've come up with several good ideas for new religions on this show that I stand by. I can't remember any of them. I think they're all moneymakers. Travis, did you go to church regularly?
I did not go. Mother, it was more important to mom. Mom was born and raised in Tennessee, Gladeville, Tennessee, and grew up in the Baptist church. And it was important for her to find a church, but it never seemed like any of them lasted. I don't know if that was because of me or Dad or what. Dad didn't go. But so yes. And obviously on the holidays when I would go visit my family, you do the whole church thing. So of course, growing up in the Southern Baptist Church was certainly prevalent, but probably not as much as certainly some people. It'd be little stretches. We went to a church for a while, and for some reason we quit going to that one. Then we find another one to go to and go for that for a while. And then, yeah, that's how I remember it.
Yeah, I went up until 18, 19. I think I went every Sunday morning at least, and some nights and Wednesdays. Not a lot of Wednesdays. I did go every Sunday morning, just about. But I don't think I had a lot of crazy, really super terrible ministers, actually. Most of the preachers were not. I mean, if I went back, I'd probably be like, what the? Get me out of here. Run, kid. But I don't remember. It wasn't like, help the poor every week. But I don't remember a lot of terrible things. But I have heard a lot of terrible things from a lot of people who've been through a lot of terrible, awful stuff. So yeah, I don't mind hearing Love Lifted Me every once in a while, as long as I don't have to do it every week.
No, there's a lot of the old gospel. I mean, that stuff, still makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up. That's part of, certainly my surroundings. If I didn't go regular, but singing in the choir, not me, but family members and whatnot, you would go to see. I mean, you can't, if you live in the Bible Belt, that's going to affect you one way or the other, whether you go to church every Sunday or not, I think.
There was a minute when I was a kid where I wanted to be a preacher. I remember doing some sermons.
You'd probably be in a better place today.
Yeah, financially, at least. You want people to look at you, I think is that. I just wanted the attention.
Sure. That's a big show.
Yeah. And even if it's not, you stand up there. It's like being on YouTube or blogging or whatever people do. It's like being on TikTok. You're an influencer. You stand up there every week and you tell people what you think about what Jesus said. Listen, there are good preachers. I'm definitely not saying all of this stuff is bad. Ain't great, but a lot of, there's definitely a lot of good stuff from in there. Oh boy. There's good stuff here. That was my impression of Steve from Sex and the City. Miranda, there's good stuff here. But it also turns into Tony Soprano at the end.
That's what I was getting, yeah.
Tony Soprano was like, so we know you have your own musical endeavors, but what are your other musical recommendations? This is like
what do we listen to? I don't know. What we recommend?
What are your other musical recommendations? What do you got?
I haven't heard it, but I hear that new Adele is good.
I'm still listening to the last one.
She has another one?
Any behind the scenes gossip from the YouTube presidential debate?
No, it's not like we were there. I don't know. There could be a lot of stuff going on. No, I don't. You didn't see it, did you? I saw it live.
Oh, did you? No, I think I
called you. Like, hey, we were just on the fucking TV. I think you were in the car somewhere, if I remember correctly. But again, we were doing Red State Update. We didn't expect somebody had given us a heads up. No, yes, I do remember. It was, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying Jules Shepard, who was, she's an author, I believe, a writer now. She was what some people would refer to as was she a scream queen at one time?
I think you would, yeah.
A lot of B movies, actor.
Why were you talking?
A lot of cult movies.
How did you wind up being friends with her?
Because she was doing something with CNN, and she wrote us on our MySpace and mentioned you might want to watch the debate, which we were going to watch anyway because we were keeping up with politics during the thing. But kind of like hint, like what does that mean? And who is Jules Shepard? Oh, Jules Shepard. Why is she writing me and saying this? She took credit for, and I don't know what her function was at CNN at that particular time, but I think she suggested I think her suggestion was you need some light fare throughout. There needs to be some sort of something funny, and she was pushing for us. And I guess some other people were too, and that's how we wound up on it. But that's who kind of hinted. She didn't say we were going to be on there, and sure enough, we were. And I remember calling you like, they're just. You saw it later on.
Stuff started.
But I saw it like when it happened, and like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. which it was. They laughed. So that was the main thing. A group of people laughed at us. That was like, oh, good.
Including the current president of the United States.
But he didn't laugh so much. He was a little he was right. And by the way, I think some people asked about that. Like, yeah, of course, yeah. He said, what did he say? Tennessee's not too crazy about that. So
the question we had on, so in 2007, YouTube was new, very new, and they were a co-sponsor of a presidential debate, one of the early ones when everybody's still in there, like all the jokers, right? So it was like 2007. The election was in the election was in 2008 because Obama came in January 2009, right? So this was very early. There were like 100 Democrats on the stage, and YouTube asked people, you could submit questions. I think anybody could submit questions, and we submitted like 10. And one of the ones we asked was, everybody's talking about, is Al Gore going to jump into the race? Because this was still, things were underway, but it was still early enough that Al Gore could have jumped into the race.
He was the one, everybody, believe it or not, people were waiting to hear if Al Gore was going to run for something. People, a bated breath. Well, is Al Gore? So yeah, we made a joke about that. And again, I want to point out, we did not make these with any. We thought the entire, if I remember correctly, the whole thing was kind of dumb. We were kind of putting these up for the people to laugh at them individually on our, like, we weren't really trying to get on the thing. I don't think that was something that we thought would ever happen. We thought the whole idea of a YouTube debate, which, let's be honest, it is stupid. And so we were just trying to make jokes about it. And like, we put up, what did you say, 10 or so? Like, we just made a bunch in succession and threw them up just for people to laugh at our content.
You got to make that content, right?
Yeah, you got to make that content. You got to turn it out.
And, it was a lot of like characters and weirdos. And then there were like regular people. And like, actually, it would be amazing to watch that now. I know it's on YouTube, but it would be amazing to see what that was like. And what's his name? Hosted it. Anderson Cooper hosted it. And our question was, everybody's talking about Al Gore getting into the race. Everybody wants to know if Al Gore is going to enter the race. Our question to you is, does that hurt y'all's feelings? And there was laughter, and there's shots of people laughing. It's not even that great. Let's be honest. I mean, this is also content. Like, CNN's also going to put out content, and they're like, kids like YouTube. So it was different. It was very different. If you remember, YouTube was different back then. It was like it was weird. It was more public access than it is now, which is what, like makeup tutorials and ways to get kids to buy toys.
Pretty much.
They used that clip, and then Joe Biden said, it sounds like the people of Tennessee just had their feelings hurt because we were dressed up like, it's not like Joe Biden was a RSU super fan. He just saw two buffoons dressed up in hee-haw cosplay, and he said, and he was right. I mean, that, and it actually was kind of funny and, pretty good for him.
I liked it.
Good night.
It's nice to be able to tell people the current president accused me of offending an entire state of people. That's something I like. I can carry that with me. I'm good with that.
Yeah. So that was. That's the story. And then I think people started. So that gave us a brief. Things are really happening now for us until I would say the financial crisis. Really.
That kind of that didn't
at our own.
It did not just affect us. We should comment, Jonathan. It didn't.
It affected other people. When I say financial crisis, I just meant the Travis and Jonathan financial crisis of 2009.
Things stopped for us, but I think other people were also affected by it. Is all I wanted to point
really.
out. Again, we can look this up on YouTube as well and check on that to make sure.
Wow. That's a big deal. So yeah, that's the YouTube presidential debate. That's how that went down. If you could pick an alternate timeline, Jackie and Dunlap went down. I just said went down. That's weird. Which others have you considered? We're talking about like Jackie liking Trump and all this stuff, but we have thought about doing like things like that with those sinkholes and stuff under Murfreesboro and
Yeah.
I feel like that's leading to some sort of like infinite Jackies or something like that. Have we already done a Crisis of Infinite Jackies?
Possibly.
Post-COVID, would you ever consider a live show listener hangout family reunion? Truly, who else will get my hilarious Dr. Birdman Bird Lady jokes?
That's two people asking for a live
We
show.
thought about it. Like the map I was looking at on Libsyn before, we were like, look, people listen to us in Texas. People listen to us. I'm pretty sure we could do a show in Arkansas. We could probably, but I just don't know. I just don't know if there's enough people to make it work. But it would be great. It would be great to meet a lot of y'all in person.
Absolutely.
And it would be fun, especially if we were just doing the sponsors. Dunlap talks a lot about Archie comics. Jonathan, are you an Archie superfan? I would say yes. I haven't really read them regularly in years. I have some of the newer stuff, like the Chip Zdarsky Jughead and stuff, but I haven't read it yet. But I did grow up reading that stuff. There was, I can plug somebody if I can find it. There's a guy on Instagram who there was a show, an art show. I think it was out here. I'll never find it. And he did posters for horror movies in the style of like Dan DeCarlo Archie Comics covers. So there's like, I think he did like a They Live. He definitely did like a Halloween. It's really cool. I don't know how to get it to y'all. I'll find it and I'll post it. Travis, do you like Archie?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Which one? Riverdale is also great. Which one of you does which social media for the show?
That would be neither.
It is tough. People I apologize because sometimes people tweet stuff at us or send us messages and I miss it. I downloaded Twitter and Facebook for my phone again to look at these questions, but I usually take it off. Facebook especially. Twitter I like better, but it's a lot for me right now. And so I have it on there sometimes, and then sometimes I don't have it on there for a couple of weeks. So
we wish that those platforms were only used for our content. Trust me, if that was the case, we'd probably be on there a lot more. But I think there's a lot of other stuff that you have to filter through.
Mark Zuckerberg went to, let's go see who's hanging out in here. It was just you and me. He's like, hey, Travis. Hey, Jonathan. We're like, hey, Mark, you want to play cards? You know what I'm talking about?
No.
So we, I guess I do Twitter more and Travis does Facebook
more. And we you do Instagram more, but we discuss Instagram occasionally. And we just put up our first TikTok, did we not?
Yeah, we did. I thought we were going to go viral. But
it's 9 years for this. And the first TikTok happened at the same time. So when we're all back here
9 years from now.
Yeah. Then how old will... Oh, it'll be 9 years old if it's 9 years.
Because sometimes TikTok reminds me of YouTube in like 2006, but there was so much more dancing on TikTok than there was on YouTube. Do we just like to dance more now?
I do.
Other than giving you all our money, how can listeners help? As per the previous questions, we'd be lost without this podcast. It's really nice. And truly would love to know how to support you.
If you have any friends that like bizarre sponsors or slightly political podcast, suggest us to them, right? I guess that would be one way. The people who are already, bless your hearts, doing Patreon for you, it's hard to, I don't know what else. I feel guilty asking anyone to do anything else.
And I guess I have a question. Yeah, me too. And I guess my question to you, Kurt, Jenny, would be, what could we do to help?
you tell us.
Yeah, because if you say you'd be lost without this podcast, I guess my question is, what part of that is it? The sponsors? Is it the politics? Is it the whole thing together? us trying to make sense of everything? Do you like it when we're struggling with? I was like, oh, I feel bad because sometimes I'm talking on here. I'm afraid I'm saying the wrong thing, or I don't know exactly how I feel about something as we're discussing it. Maybe people like that. I don't know. Maybe that's what they want.
I mean, that's what I look at the characters
How can
doing.
that be, though?
I mean, that's what these characters are of white men of a certain age are trying to figure things out.
I know, but even
both of us. But yeah, who wants to listen to that shit?
Yeah, and even that seems like 5 years ago, right?
I know.
I moved on from that. And one final one from Kurt. How much headspace do Jackie and Dunlap occupy when you're not being them?
I think I answered that earlier. It's like this: if something strikes me funny, that Jackie would say this about that. That's about it, but not much. It's like when we do the thing, when we show up here. That's when we do it.
There was weird. I didn't actually expect this, so I guess this is something I should think about. When people ask us, like, how much longer will you do this or whatever? I was in the South again recently for a little bit. And like I would see something and I'd kind of process it as how I would talk about it on the podcast. Like that seemed to me to be the easiest way. You know what I mean? It kind of automatically went there. Maybe it was because it was being in the South or whatever, but does that make sense? Like I wouldn't have thought like, oh, I'm going to see this stuff and I'm automatically going to write like some sort of Dunlap rant, or I'm going to record it on my phone so I don't forget it and use it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'll use this on the show. Like, I don't think we really think of things like that, but do you ever do that? Just tooling around? Like,
not anymore. I used to. I mean, I think we used to, especially when we had to write them out more. But not really. Like I said, a line or two, maybe, but it's never a situation or anything. Because again, it's like I know that's we improvise because we know the character. I'm not saying this is why it's good or bad. I'm just saying it is what it is. You do the character. You just you know what they're going to say about it or how they're going to express themselves on that. Usually, and I'm not saying we succeed at that. But that's, you do hear us figuring some stuff out. And sometimes it works, I think. There's sometimes where we discuss it beforehand and then we do it. And I don't think that we got to what we were talking about. That happens. But then there's other times when we're doing it and we find something entirely new that we didn't discuss. And that works for me anyway.
Yeah, I think sometimes when we're doing it, like I feel bad because I guess it's some kind of weird work ethic thing where it's like I feel like I need to spend hours thinking about it and writing it down so that we can be ready to discuss it and whatever. And because we don't do that a lot, hardly ever. Maybe I feel like it's some kind of weird capitalism. Yeah, I can blame capitalism.
There you go.
Maybe some weird kind of capitalism work ethic, because if we figure something out in the moment, it doesn't feel like we worked hard enough for it to be meaningful. But that's the opposite of what we paid $400 for improv class for. And also, but I guess I was saying it was weird. I guess it's weird to say after doing a show for 9 years that that I was surprised that I went to character we do the show about, one of them, to process or like to come up with jokes or whatever, but I did, and that was kind of surprising. So I don't know what that means. Okay, 2 more on this page, and then maybe we have to take a break. Maybe we have to put this up in parts. Is that self-indulgent?
I mean, it's just as self-indulgent as a 3-hour podcast answering questions.
Okay, so Jenny Benevento bumped this up to the top, so that other people could see it. And thanks everybody. Also, we didn't have questions. We had a few. On Friday. Was it Friday or Saturday? Yesterday?
I think when we said it, when we first said, "Oh, what's how do we? What's the way we can go about
A few people
this.
had sent us stuff, but we were like, I don't think we have enough questions. And so then we asked again, and like, now we have like 4 hours of show. So thanks. Vince Warren has 2 questions here. 1, what was both of you guys' favorite flavor of slot juice? And is hose water still available anywhere? Those are 2 questions, Vince, but that's okay because I appreciate. I don't think you can get hose water anywhere. You know why? Fucking Biden. It's all out on a boat.
Yep. Waiting for it to get here. I know it. Favorite.
I know you
juice.
would think you could just go out into the yard and fill it up. But then, I didn't know how supply chains work until recently. And it's not that simple.
Just like healthcare.
Yeah.
Slot juice, grape, right?
Yeah.
Was that because there were several clear? No, wait, clear.
It's just lists. Mostly these are just lists that we do here. Lists of flavors and colors. Slot juice, I don't know if I talked about this before. We did answer questions over on Patreon as ourselves a few.
Yes, we have. This is the first time we've done it on the last time.
And slot juice. I was reading Dan Slott's Superior Spider-Man, where Dr. Octopus takes over Peter Parker's body. And that slot juice came from Dan Slott, his name. Dan Slott is a comic book writer, Travis.
TT Slott.
TT Slott, slot juice. Yep. TT, I don't know where that came from. You may have come up with that, actually.
I don't remember.
And Vince Warren also says, how many kisses is a Christmas present worth? Depends on the present.
Depends on the present and how much chocolate you have on your face.
And depends on the kisses.